Hey guys, how's it going? Laura with Garden Answer. Today I'm putting together a miniature garden, and this one's going to be kind of Asian bonsai Zen themed. I've been gathering stuff over the past couple of months, and so I'm really excited to finally be putting it together. So Crescent Gardens sent me a few of their Orinoco bowls. This is a 30-inch bowl, so this is going to be quite a large miniature garden. And I also have the 20-inch bowl, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use it in conjunction with this big one. We'll just see how it goes. I brought it out just in case. This one also didn't have a drain hole. Big one does, this one didn't. So I went ahead and just used a large drill bit with my drill and made a drain hole. It was really easy because this is resin, so it just popped right through there. And then on the table next to me, I have a bunch of really cool stuff. So some evergreen bonsai starts, Japanese maples. I've got sand, rocks, moss, and then some really cool miniature pieces from myfairygardens.com. There's a pagoda, cranes, little stepping stones, a really neat red bridge, a fountain. Anyway, so I think I've got everything I need to put this thing together, but I'm terrible at multitasking. So I think we're gonna speed this part up so I can really focus on what I'm doing. Then I'll explain everything in the end. This might be one of my favorite miniature gardens I have ever put together, and I don't know if it's just because of the plants that I have. They're all so neat, or just the feel of the whole thing. It was kind of fun not packing so much in. I mean, there's a lot in these containers as far as all the pieces and everything that's going on, but there's quite a bit of soil between each one of these plants, and I don't typically do that. You guys know this. So one thing that I really thought was necessary, once I got the bottom pot full of soil, I thought, you know what, this container is too wide to get the kind of height that I want for this garden. So I did add the second container in here, and everything will be fine. It has a drain hole, so it'll drain into the bottom one, and then it'll drain out the bottom hole. So that should all be great. I packed the soil in really, really tight. So before I set the bowl in, I mean, I just really gave it some good compression so that this bowl isn't tippy at all, like not in the slightest. And then I think I started with this one right here. This is an Autumn Moon maple, and it's just such a gorgeous specimen. I really like it. I actually planted one of these in my old garden before we moved to this new house. I just love the color. I think that was really necessary for this garden. It needed a bright pop. And then right here is a Strebes Finley Cotoneaster, and it's just going out of bloom. I'm kind of bummed. We didn't get it all together to do this garden until, well, obviously now. And I saw this thing go into bloom, and I'm like, oh, we got to do this garden when it's got blooms on it. And this fountain, you guys, is amazing, because usually I've done a couple of miniature gardens where I've put fountains in them, but they're ones that I've had to build myself. So I had to figure out what the reservoir was going to be, the tubing, the pump, what my top piece was going to set on. This is all like by itself. You could take that whole thing out and set it on a table and plug it in, and it's a fountain all in one piece. So it's got the reservoir in it, the pump, and then I ran the cord kind of behind the maple and out the back of the container to plug it in. So I really like that aspect. It wasn't any work really to put that in. And that was from myfairygardens.com. And then my riverbed, which I just did a dry riverbed, is just with different colors of like decorative stones. There's a kind of a matte charcoal gray and then some shiny black. Love this little red bridge. That little pop of color in there just is really perfect. The cranes are really neat. And then this little tiny fisherman, which I think kind of is the perfect touch. It's got a little fishing pole with a little fish. I did use a true dwarf Hinoki cypress right here, which kind of has a moss look. I love the deep green of it. And then I did tuck in a few, so I did use a couple succulents. These are hedgehog sempervivums. I just thought that they looked really neat tucked in around this piece of wood, and I think that's the beauty of this garden, is I can water everything pretty separately, because most things, especially down here, are separate. So I don't, I can control how much water these sempervivums will get. And then I have a Mikawa Yatsubusa Japanese maple in this corner right here. I love the stems. They've got kind of pink stems with this really light green foliage. These ones, if I was to plant it out in the garden, get about 6 by 4. So I'm excited. I'm going to leave this together, and then for quite a long time. I could get a long time out of a planter like this, because these are all perennial, trees and shrubs. But eventually I'll probably plant them out in the landscape, so I have something to look forward to. Again, I can reuse all these plants. And then I have a dwarf pagoda Japanese holly, just a cute little almost topiary bonsai. I mean, this is like a true looking, when I think of bonsai, I don't know. It's got that look to it. And then a Catherine Elizabeth Japanese white pine. Love these. My parents have one of these in their garden, and it's just so pretty, that icy blue foliage. And then a Rhode Island red Japanese maple, which of course, the red Japanese maples are one of the most popular, just because they maintain this beautiful color. So this garden right here will take morning sun really, really well in my area. The tags on all of them say full sun, but in my spot here, we're a zone 5, but we're very, very dry. So we get really hot summers with no reprieve. Like, there's hardly ever cloud cover, we hardly ever get rain, and we have very low humidity. So I really do need to protect these maples from our scorching afternoon sun. So this will do great with a block of morning sun. That way it keeps my evergreens happy, and it also keeps my Japanese maples happy. As far as watering this thing, let me grab my watering can. It's really, really easy. I know it looks intimidating because of all the sand, and I mean, if you were to go after this thing with a hose, it would totally ruin the garden. So you do need to be a little careful, but it's easy. I just use a water can that has a little narrow opening at the end, and then I can direct it right behind each one of my plants and give them what they need. So I just give them enough to just moisten that root ball really, really well, and then I can move on to the next one. And see how no water is splashing up toward the front? It's really easy. You just have to be mindful of not using really strong pressure. So like I said, this garden could last a really, really long time, especially if you apply some bonsai techniques, which I'm not super up on, like root pruning and things like that, something I would really love to learn. But you could really get a long time, because these are not super fast growing plants. So you could keep them pruned down quite a bit. And then eventually I will be planting these out in the landscape, but you could get, if you have a protected spot in the winter to move it, you could get years out of a planter like this. So the last thing I want to address is price. I know that if you were to go out and try to replicate this exact design with the containers, the pieces, all of these plants, it would be pretty pricey. I've been gathering this stuff over the last few months, so it hasn't been something that I went out and just bought everything for all at one time. It's been a process, and I don't do every single one of my gardens like this. I mean, if you guys have been watching our videos, you might remember the little teacup fairy garden I did that you could do for probably between $15 and $30. There's like one little figurine in there, a little arbor, and a few little succulent cuttings, and it was just super cute. So you don't have to do things on this scale. The reason why we do it, why we do videos, is just to inspire you guys. We hope that if you guys see something like this, that you might be able to draw some inspiration from it, and maybe be able to go out and replicate even just a little piece of it. Maybe something sparks something in you and you want to just go out and create, and that is the whole point, and that is my hope with these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really, really appreciate it, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.